Hey everybody, welcome back to the Going Deep, Go Deep YouTube channel. I'm doing a video today on do men really need decompression after work? It's a TikTok that my wife showed me. And because of everything that we discuss on our channel when it comes to things like, well, everything, especially the control systems in which men and women are programmed and the agendas behind it, I thought this was a very interesting video to watch. Link will be in the description if you guys want to see it yourself to understand kind of what I see while I'm seeing this. I probably won't post his actual video, just we're going to listen to his video. And I'm going to pause it every time he says something that I completely disagree with, and then I'll explain why I disagree with it, okay? So, let's get started.
All right, before I even had kids, I remember talking to this one guy who had a great marriage, and this was a decade ago, and they still actually like each other today. And they were in that stressful little kid stage of life, and he said...
I got to stop it already, because he said about a decade ago they were in the stressful little kid stage, and they actually still like each other to this day. That actually means either that they're not married or they got a divorce and now they're like together in some way. I don't know. But he just said they really like each other. Need more context for that, because it's kind of important. If that couple didn't work out, we need to know why, kind of thing. Okay, let's continue though.
Something I'll never forget. He said, when I come home from work, when I walk in the door, I take the kids and I give her a break. And I remember thinking, oh, this poor guy. I mean, he's so whipped. He worked all day and now he has to come home and...
First of all, he already said trigger word whipped, which is it's already telling you in his mind. Like, that's the reason we really care attention. We care a lot about the terminology that people use and how they speak. Whipped literally means that you were whipped by the woman as a slave owner. Whips a slave.
Really be bombarded with crazy kids? I mean, that's just not fair.
Crazy kids, right? Crazy, implying that they're unmanageable, ridiculous, insane, and also our children are not kids. Because a kid is a baby goat. That ties into like human sacrifice and stuff. So don't ever call your children kids, because they're not kids, they're children. Kid is a term for a baby goat. It's also the universal symbol.
So now that I am married...
It's also the universal symbol for like the child trafficking. It's like the child trafficking symbol. Look that up, and it's pretty crazy. Whew.
And I have kids. Let me tell you why that's dumb. All right, first we need to get rid of this whole men need to decompress after work rumor. Not sure who created...
He says not sure who created this. Who created this is men who work. As a man who's worked 12-hour shifts and had to drive an hour to and from work, there is an unbelievable amount of pressure and physical fatigue and stuff that requires me to have a type of decompression. It's also one of those things where, because men don't ask for a lot, what we do ask for, I think, should be kind of important. Now, this isn't like what he's saying now is not what has actually pissed me off. What pisses me off comes a little bit later in the video. But if you're a man and if you need to decompress, if you're a smart person, if you're a deep thinker, and if you're maybe not, obviously he's some kind of an influencer or something, so he gets to do what he wants, within his creative, he's doing what he wants to, so he doesn't maybe understand what it's like to spend 10 to 12 hours in heat and cold dealing with the world and the stress of big business, and especially when in construction and fabrication, like what I'm from. Automotive field, food industry, etc., etc. There's so many different things that there's so many different things that can create an unbelievable amount of stress on a man, right? That when you do come home, the decompression time could be a shower. For me, typically, it's like I'll sit down for like 20 or 30 minutes and I'll just play a game. And what happens is that gives me my decompression time to actually then become focused on simply doing the next series of things, cooking dinner, taking the children places, engaging in stimulating conversation with my wife. And my job is pretty easy now, so I don't need the decompression time currently. But when I worked at a very hard, demanding, stressful job, I would come home absolutely exhausted, only for more work. I needed some kind of a mini break. And for this guy to say that men don't need it, it's dumb for you to work and then need any time for yourself before you just give it, before you just take over the secondary position and role of being the Superman in the house. just really, it really, to me, reinforces that slave owner, slave mechanic, especially because he used the term whipped, which is
But we need to go ahead and
a clear indication of how he already thinks and considers men to be whipped by women. And then what he's going to do here, if you watch the video, you'll see it. But we need to go ahead and put it to rest. The myth that some men work really hard jobs and maybe they need to decompress after work.
put it to rest. Please tell me why you need 30 minutes of decompression time when you get home. I've even heard counselors say men need this. Are you honestly going to sit there and say, let's just say...
So he just literally said that I've heard counselors say that men need decompression time. But now what he's going to do is he goes on his agenda rant where he's going to put the women on the pedestal, make the children sound absolutely terrible, and like almost dissuade people from the idea of having any kind of peace with your family.
In this scenario, the wife has been at home with the kids today. Lots of women work, but okay, in this scenario, she's off today, so she's been home with the kids.
Remember what he just said. If in this scenario, she's off work. So she's been, like, most women work, but she's off work, and now she's at home today with the children.
Are you honestly going to say she's been dealing with these crazy kids the whole day?
There is the crazy kids. Again, the same terminology. That's very disingenuous, and that's not the kind of relationship that I have with my children at all. I don't look at them as crazy or something that is stressful or something that I ever need a break from.
A.m. to 6 p.m. by the time you get home. 12 hours with the kids. And you come home after your 30-minute drive by yourself, mind you, with no one talking to you, no one crying, no one screaming in your ear, no one touching you. You didn't break up any fights. You didn't have to cook dinner and discipline at the same time.
Okay, so my channel's called Go Deep because whenever I look at stuff like this, what I do, I pause it, and on his facial expression, you can actually see what's happening. I wouldn't consider this guy, I don't know who he is. I would not consider him a very masculine man. He looks like he weighs about maybe 100 pounds. He looks like he's a YouTuber. He's got some childish character traits in terms of like just never progressing into manhood. Not as a bad thing necessarily, but
You're going to come home, walk.
what I'm getting from him is he's putting women on the pedestal, and he's saying to women who are tired from taking care of your own children, who you love, in a relationship that you wanted, with the greatest blessing that God can give you, and how unbelievably exhausting and stressful and tired that you actually are. The problem with his argument is the only time that actually does apply is with a newborn. It only applies with a newborn because newborns have a very demanding schedule, and every single second of the day is meant with them. He also assumes that for some reason the woman is only with her child from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's very weird to me. I don't understand his logic there. But the next thing is that he goes ahead and says a 12-hour shift. Well, as a parent, you're always a parent. You're always with your children. That's the male struggle, is we want to be home with our family where the love is. So there's no reason to give your woman a break because she gets to stay at home with the children. All right, I'm gonna let this ride for a minute because I want to get to the good
In the
part.
door and immediately say to your partner, who is mentally, physically, emotionally drained exponentially more than what her healthy capacity is. And you're going to look at her holding a screaming baby and say,
It's depicting a horror show, but he said whatever her healthy capacity is. Healthy capacity, I guess in the term that he's talking about, is the mental load that actually causes. It's something outside of comfort, essentially, which is basically where she didn't get enough YouTube time, she didn't get to go to the gym, she didn't get her latte, she didn't get to do this and this and this because she has a child now. So she's stressed out because she's not being able to do something that she wants to do other than be a mom. And you're going to look at her holding a screaming baby and say,
listen, this environment is just a little bit too much for me. It's just a big change from work, so I'm going to need like 30 minutes to myself to unwind before I can shift roles to parent and husband. I know I just came home, but just pretend like I'm...
and his demeanor is also very demeaning. in the way that he's speaking and talking to the man in this, or portraying the man in this particular scenario, which is totally fine. I get that. More power to him. He can do whatever he wants, but he's 100% off when it comes to this.
Not here. Just continue doing this work alone. Completely overwhelmed. What? There is literally nothing more selfish than that. Let's just think for a moment why men need to decompress. Because the shift is just too severe, right? Like the crazy home environment is just too different. We need to ease into it slowly.
No, it has nothing to do with the environment being different. It's actually, we're actually decompressing from work and all of the stuff that we just went through. And especially if he obviously he doesn't understand this, but if you have a physically high skill demanding job, when you get home, if you don't take that little bit of time to decompress, you become useless for a lot longer period, right? So if I come in the door, obviously I'm not an asshole, so if there's stuff that needs to be helped, or if there's stuff that needs to be done, I can do that because I'm still kind of in work mode, right? He's painting the picture of this, like he must have, like, in my opinion, I'm so sorry, but in my opinion, he must have the worst children in the world and the weakest woman in the world that doesn't want to be home with her children, and they probably have a lot of other issues in the way, because he's acting like a complete sissy when it comes to this mechanic, right? If you don't have a hard job, you don't need to decompress. If you have an extremely challenging physical hard job, you need to decompress, but eventually you need to be stronger than your job. You need to be able to handle life with grace, which is not the issue here. I don't think that men do or don't need decompression time. That's totally up to you if you need it or not. What he's telling you to as a blanket statement is that men don't, and he's disagreeing with with counselors. I don't think he even talks to counselors, but he had to say that. Like a trained therapist says, it's important for men, right? Got a lot on our mind, got a lot of stuff going on. Decompression is important so that we can deal with what just happened and not bring it home. Because if you start bringing this kind of drama, negative energy home, that's when you start getting really bad fights. You start blowing up on the children. You start bringing external issues into your internal safe place home. That's the primary reason that I decompress. It slows down and gets me refocused on doing stuff at home, which gives me the ability to then put way more effort into my family, into life, and into the home than if I just get off work and I run in the door and it's like, go get this from the store, start cooking, blah, blah, blah. Everything becomes a little too rushed, and then life starts to fall into the work at home, right? And home life doesn't need to be work. That's the reason we need to decompress and shift, is to swap from, if I sweep the floor now, right? It's because my beautiful children, not a kid, tried to make a sandwich and made a mess. So now I'm happy that I get to sweep because I have children who can make a mess and have children who can make me happy. And if you don't decompress and you bring that work energy home, then you become a tyrannical boss. You become a little impatient, and every tiny thing starts to mess with you. Which I'll go deeper on some parenting tips later. But let's just let this guy ride, and I'll get to the point that pisses me off, and then we'll end the video.
Bombarded with all this craziness right away, right? Yeah, I understand how that could be stressful, but I think it's just important to remember. Do you know what else is also stressful? Doing it for 12 hours. Listen, by saying I need time to adjust to this hectic environment, you're admitting I just spent time.
Again, he's doing a female smash tactic where he's putting words into he's trying to like shift the narrative. Nobody said that the home life is hectic, it's just his personal experience. Don't let his personal experience become your personal experience. If you have a hectic, crazy home environment, some things need to be adjusted and changed so that it can become relatively peaceful. It can be loud, but it doesn't need to be crazy and dangerous and hectic and stressful. That's not okay.
I'm in a non-hectic environment, right? So the epitome of self-centeredness would be to come home from a non-hectic environment and then to think that you are the one that needs a break, not the person who's been in the trenches of war for 12 hours. Can you imagine?
This is the part that pisses me off to no end, because it's that constant system of taking the struggle of men, great men of renown from the past who have done things like been in World War II, and fucking compare them to a stay-at-home mom in 21st century America with AC, power, washer and dryer, microwaves, carry-out food, and a husband that works.
During World War II, like you're on the front lines, you've been shot at for 12 hours straight, you almost died twice, and then in the distance you see your buddy who's been sleeping like 12 clicks away in the safe zone, and he's coming to relieve you, and you're like, oh, thank God.
He obviously has no idea how the military works, because it's not one person that would relieve you. And in the video, he's holding Nerf guns, and he's acting out that... I don't know if I can finish this video, I'll be totally honest. But yeah, I'm just gonna end it there, because this guy's like... It pisses me off to no end. And the reason it pisses me off is because guys like this, they get in the way of what men like myself have accomplished and done and struggled and strive for. And in one little TikTok video, what he tries to do is he tries to build his female audience by bashing his male audience. And a lot of men are going to see that, and because men are the way that they are, right? They will be like, oh man, I could, just skip my decompression time and just come right in the door, because she's really having a hard time with the children. That's possible, and it could be, but more than likely, it's not. It's just not, right? Unless it's a newborn stage. And if it's a newborn stage, you shouldn't be out working anyways, because you should be on that parental leave, so that you can stay home for the first 2 or 3 weeks of a child, because it's important. It's hectic. It's very time consuming. But once a child gets to the diaper stage, and once they get to where they can walk and they can do their own thing and they can kind of entertain themselves, the parenting life becomes a different level of busy. And I have 6 children. We have another one on the way. My children are awesome, both in public and at home. And I've done this because my house is ran with love and discipline at the same time. We're not going to go into discipline tactics or anything, because I don't feel like having to go deep on that topic just yet. But what makes me mad about this video the most is that he actually compares the stay-at-home woman with all the comforts we have in modern-day America. He didn't go out of his way to talk about other women in other parts of the world, right, who actually have a lot harder time just like keeping everybody fed. He doesn't talk about that. He just talks about here in America with our wives, right? He's talking about his personal environment, his personal family, setting system. And even if say if he had a great family, but then he's making this, that makes him a liar. So either he's a liar, or he's actually telling us what his personal experience is with which is crazy, stressful children, family, home life. And that means that you have no discipline in yourself, and you don't have any discipline that you can give out to the family. Because I don't mean discipline like punching and kicking. I mean like discipline in the way that you live your life is very disciplined, is very controlled, and that reflects in your children. They grow up to be a little bit disciplined, a little bit reserved. We still have fun, we still party, we still have dance parties, we still run around and we're crazy all night. We have late bedtimes. Our life is a party, but there's also a degree of discipline in there that makes it not stressful. And if it ever becomes stressful, I can simply address everybody and explain to them why. Hey, y'all are too loud, it's getting too crazy, you're gonna get hurt, and you're stressing me out. And everybody brings the tempo and the noise level back down, right? As a man, especially as a husband, because we're going to talk about that when we get back to the relationship stuff. But as a man, the most important thing is you really have to shape everything around you to be what you see it as the leader. And that's super important, both for the marriage mechanic, both for the child rearing mechanic. And now we get into the part that pisses me off. And now most men, of course, there's so many, I'm a multifaceted man, and I've worn many hats, okay? I've worn many hats. I'm going to explain why his argument is completely wrong across the board. We'll go deep on this just for a few seconds, and then we're gonna end it, because I'm probably about to go punch a bag or something. He's got me so irritated. Men like this just drive me nuts, because what they do is they don't actually have any stances or claims. They just simply talk and make a TikTok, and they have an audience they want to cater to. And yeah. And the reason it's stupid is because what he did is he doesn't talk about the single moms. Women who, for one reason or another, they're single, and they don't have a man to take care of them, and they have a child. Those are the women who need a break, in a way, right? Those are the women who don't get a second shift to ever come help them. They have to do everything on their own. They have to work and take care of the child. If they have family, great. That's where the situation that he's actually talking about kind of has some relevance, right? It kind of has some relevance. The other thing that he implies is that when men come home, they're utterly useless. They don't do anything. They come home and then it's still on the wife. And these automatic implications that he attaches to men is part of that systematic programming to get men to think and act a certain way. I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but as a guy who doesn't do this, it's really, really, really dumb. It's really dumb. It's so stupid. But the main reason that this whole video makes me so mad is only because he can do all this, like the reflection of his family's life and the weakness of his wife, the inability for her to raise her own children, for him to actually have any kind of control or authority or dominion over his own house. That's fine. That's on him. That's the life that he gets to live. And men like that raise the worst kind of children because they don't have any boundaries. They end up being the guy who tries to push you or shove you or fight you or just doesn't understand boundaries, and they end up getting punished for it later in life, either with the court system or with direct violence being done to them, or by people just leaving, never wanting to associate with them. Oh man. But when he compares men who fought in World War II to women in modern day America, with all the creature comforts that we have and everything that he has, and he even in the same breath says that there's any difference or there's any connection between the two. That's just bullshit, man, because you don't understand the horrors of war, obviously. You don't understand what weight is, obviously. And you don't understand what struggle and fighting and violence and bloodshed really is. Some of us do. Some of us really do understand what it's like to be in a life or death fight where if you mess up, you die. And being from that coming from that life, and then being a husband first and the provider, and then years and years later, we found ourselves in an opportunity where my wife was able to work. Okay. My wife, she said something in this video, or not in this video, but she said something at this time period, and she said, "I just feel so trapped in the house all the time. It's like I just wake up and I do the same things." And I was like, dude, baby, I get it. Trust me, I understand too. But the reason that we had not really an argument per se, but the reason we had an issue, we had a back and forth, a little bit of an exchange here, was simply because from her perspective to me, from the woman to the man, because of shit like this, what she assumed was that when I went out, I was free. I was free to travel the world and live and party and talk and have fun and enjoy life, while she was stuck at home. So it was like a duality thing where her reality was that she's stuck at home, she has no friends, she can't do anything, and then I'm out making friends, partying, you know what I mean? So of course, when the opportunity came, I thought it would be an amazing idea because we had the system ready for it, for her to go back to work and not me. And it was so funny because it only took about 5 hours of the first day doing a job that it's the same job I have now. It was the same job that I have now, and I let her do it. And I think it was day 2. It may have been, I think it was day 2 that she comes home and she's almost in tears. And I'm like, "What's the matter?" And she's just sitting on the couch and she's about to cry. And she's like, "I did dishes for 5 hours." And she's just like in disbelief at what work really is. You know what I'm saying? Like, for being thrust in, like being a stay-at-home, being pampered, being taken care of by her man, both for financially, and then when I come home, I also pick up any extra slack that needs to be done. It was a hard pill for her to swallow. And then she's like, "I feel more trapped at work than I ever did at home." Now, meanwhile, these first 2 days I was at home, we woke up a little bit late. I played video games. We watched movies, changed diapers. We walked to the store and got snacks and came back home. And then we would go meet mommy every day when she was getting off work, because we lived close enough to walk. So my experience as a stay-at-home dad is not anywhere like what this gentleman is talking about. So I've been thinking about this for a few days at work before I made my video response. And basically, I can put it like this: if the children act that way, it's because the man doesn't have any discipline and the man's not a very good dad. And if the woman has a response like that, she doesn't really want to be a mom. Because women who love their children and are very happy to be at home and just love their children, they want to be at home with them. Why would they want to go do anything else? Just like a dad, if you really love your child, you wouldn't want to work. Do you understand? Do you understand? The decompression time is almost totally, is in my opinion, irrelevant at this point, because it's just a bash on men for anything that men need. And that's why this video and videos like it irritate me so much. I'm going to start, I don't care what it does, but I'm going to start saying something kind of on record against these people and just disagreeing with them in real time with their video. Because I can't stand it. I can't stand how men are from the societal standpoint, and because of the Willie Lynch doctrines and how they treat us, how men are systematically taught. Now this video, let me take it deep just for 1 second, right? This video might not mean anything to you. Like if you watch it, you might be like, I don't really care. I don't really see anything. All you have to do is check out his TikTok and look at how many followers he has, right? With other content, other information that makes people like him. And then within that, you see the actual number of his influence. I don't know how many views this video has. I don't care. Let's just say this video has 50,000 views. Okay? That's 50,000 people who already like him and subscribe to his ideas and now accept whatever he just said on either a direct level, conscious or subconscious. So women who hear this, and maybe they're a single mom, right? Or maybe they're married. I guess we have to do married, but maybe they're married. And maybe they watch this TikTok one day at home with their children. And they're just not feeling it today. They're lazy. They don't want to do it. Maybe there's, one diaper change too much was enough to break her. She's way past her healthy mental limit, whatever that is. Like, I don't even know how you would measure that, but that's besides the point. And now she watches this TikTok. And the play on logic there was completely, it was done very intentionally. This video is not random. This video is super intentional. That's the reason it pisses me off. The way he explains how, if you actually need to decompress, you're coming from work, which is the chill, and then you're coming to the stressful. What up, Freddie? So that implies that work is not stressful and home is. Well, now she's gonna, if anybody's gonna subscribe to that idea, now the woman is gonna listen to this, okay? And then he's gonna come home from work and he's gonna be like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" Yeah, and he's gonna go to the kitchen. And he's gonna start his process of unwinding, and she's gonna turn around and be like, "I've been in the trenches of war for 12 hours. I have these crazy kids," and she's gonna start to repeat that same terminology back at him. And even if she doesn't verbally say it, she'll at least do it with her actions. And then she'll somehow feel validated in order to get that bath or an hour break or whatever it is, when she may not have actually honestly felt that was needed. Because if you give the man his decompression time, it's not like he just goes outside and sits. I mean, we're talking about good men, not the trash men. We're talking about good men, yeah, not trash men. Because a dad who loves his family wants to be involved, but if he has a hard job, he might need some time before he can engage. That's all I'm saying. Especially if he has a hard job. So women who are watching this, especially if your husband does that kind of stuff, give him his decompression time, even if he doesn't seem like he needs it, and you'd be surprised what that'll do. Because I'm gonna start talking about the relationship mechanics and how they need to change it a little bit. And how women and men need to cater to each other by understanding a little bit better. Because right now, men understand everything there is to know about women, but not the other way around. So, I'm sorry this video was so kind of rambling. I'm not going to go super deep on any one of his talk because I'm just against them 100%. This is a good example of the slow, total, systematic control that basically attempts to change the narrative of how men are viewed. And it's done in a relatively innocent way. I get that. And it takes somebody like me to see the video, get so irritated at it that I have to make some kind of a response, or to explain to you why you don't do this and why you don't think this way. Point back to all the stuff that I talked about in my other 2 videos, which I got a lot more coming. And yeah, this guy is like, he's irritated me for 2 days with this video. The other one, could you imagine being a World War II vet and seeing this video? You know what I mean? Like, just think about that for a minute. Think about the horrors of World War II, surviving it, come back, and then imagine that your wife is sitting on the couch and she doesn't care that you were in a war, right? She doesn't care what you've been through, and she says this to you. Imagine the response from the World War II vet man who survived Battle of Normandy, everything that happened in World War II, comes back, and then a woman sitting on the couch raising his children, living off his money, then says that and uses that analogy on the World War II guy in the exact scenario that he's talking about. It's just so stupid. God, it's so stupid. I can't deal with it. I apologize for even making you listen to this video. Hope you guys all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you in the next one.